Let's roast this Julien Blanc guy. Julien has killed more Asians than Mao Zedong in day game. People have this misconception that Julien Blanc is somehow the most advanced PUA in the world. In Vancouver, all the Asians used Julien Blanc's game. Not a single Asian got laid from it. I was a dating coach. I really wanted to get all the Asian men laid in Vancouver, so I wouldn't have to keep dealing with low self-esteem Asian RSD victims who got no day game results with a stupid day game system. I want to be able to get people to listen so I can help my own people. That meant I wasn't able to get people to listen, let alone help my own people, to make things worse. I felt terrible because I got nonstop students laid in a boot camp. While they're teaching their RSD Julien game, their student got no results. Dumb, low self-esteem, impressionable Asians were still using Julien Blanc's game since they trust other dating coaches if they look taller than me, they look stronger than me, better looking than me by default. And it made me feel worse about the situation because Asian men were so easily fooled by RSD concepts that doesn't work. I felt like I can't get through to these people. I watched them all drop like flies at the time. So the problem was that they had this style of game that sounded autistic. That's Julien Blanc's game. 3 vibes, 5 questions, which was socially retarded. The first vibe of Julien Blanc was called self-amusement. I'm going to break it down for you. Self-amusement. And I'm going to show you how autistic this sounds. The second vibe of Julien Blanc is called challenging. And the third vibe is called commanding. And the problem is that they have what they call the 5 questions. So usually it's like 1, where are you from? Where are you from? I'll show you how they put it in between all this stuff. What's your name? 3, where are you from? Doesn't matter what questions they are. Ethnicity. It could be any 5 questions that you use over and over. Generic questions that you're going to stick in between these things. I'm going to show you why it sounds autistic. What do you do for fun? And number 5, what is your number? This is Julien Blanc's game in a nutshell. 3 vibes, 5 questions. Now I'm going to show you why it is the worst game in existence today. The first vibe was called self-amusement, paired with a generic autistic questions, which was said in a challenging vibe, forcing a question. So they'll be like, where are you from? When they say from, it's going to be challenging. Are you from Vancouver? And then between that, they're going to make another self-amusement statement. Oh, you're not from Vancouver. I bet you have yellow fever talking to me. And then they'll say, how are you? Which is very generic. Eventually, they'll be commanding. Hey, what's your number? Or we should stand over here. Back to more self-amusement. So it was a 2-minute conversation without social comfort or connection that only works for 5'11", tall, strong, good-looking types, or that 1%, not Asian men in general, which meant so many Asians quit day game throughout my whole career from other coaches that uses Julien Blanc shit. So they went to night game. Then they dropped out of day game. Yes, that system works a bit for night game for Julien Blanc, so we have to give him some credit. There is at least a few night game testimonials, but 0 for day game. 0. So yes, that system works for night game a little bit, but which destroyed the Asian race in day game more than Mao Zedong destroyed Chinese men. Then something happened. Amazing happened. That is when I discovered using real social skills to replace gaming tactics or structure, which get her talking more. Then you can hear the keywords. Then you go back to comments, open-ended questions, keywords, and you can derive an entire conversation for a same-day lay. So it became crystal clear to me how to get same-day lays, which these Julien Blanc clones have dismissed. As they've been teaching this game, they once said on a YouTube live, same-day lays. They say the same thing as mystery, which is impossible. They're calling it a fool's mate. Mystery thinks you cannot get same-day lays because if you try to go for same-day lays too fast, she's going to reject you. It's the same mentality as other coaches that are into Julien Blanc shit. That's what they say. Same-day lays, oh, that's impossible. But then they deleted the video afterwards. Of course they think it's impossible because they have pulled, but they didn't close. They had to wait 3 more dates to close with their height and genetic advantages. So basically, I saw RSD has no clue what they're talking about. RSD Julien's game is the least transferable in the world, which has destroyed Asian men's lives. Also, I learned that natural and direct with validation isn't a good idea because that's what they taught. If your value is perceived lower than the women, not for these tall 5'11" guys, a compliment and validation will lower your value. It's like a homeless person giving a compliment. Hey, nice jacket. But you know that guy, if it's transferred to a short Asian guy who has no value, no looks, who says looks don't matter according to the coaches, then what happened is that when they try to give a compliment or validation, and if they don't even use a social media close, nothing will happen. They'll get flaked on, they'll quit day game, they'll go to night game, and they'll quit that. They'll eventually go to engineering school after 6 years or 7 years, work on social circle game. And if they cannot get a girlfriend, they'll move to Thailand. This is something that's been happening in Vancouver over and over because of Julien Blanc. So never ever give compliments or validation, ever. And most Asians are Asperger's when it comes to social skills. So as a result, I got more Asian men laid than every other day game coach in the world combined. More than ABCs of Attraction, more than Briefing Casanova. And that's a fact. More than all of them combined for day game. After that, I started creating Elite 30 from hard case to hero long ago. Suddenly, I was getting nonstop late testimonials from Asian men. That's when I realized the secret to getting people to stop using RSD Julien shit was this style got her to open up more. So you got things to talk about also. In my style, with the open-ended questions, it forces the women, rather than a generic question, to make her talk. The truth is, the more she talks, the more she trusts you. So when you can get a woman talking about herself, she's going to backward rationalize in her brain. You know what? Because I'm talking to this guy more, I probably like this guy. That's probably what she's thinking. She likes you, she trusts you, and is willing to go home with you. That's the weakness of the game because these 5 questions are generic. There is no way that is opening her up because she can't backward rationalize. She likes you. So they work out. They're super tall. They're super good looking. And that does not work. Mixing that with self-amusement and questions in between. This is pure autism. So with my system, they open up. You get the keywords, which you could not get with Julien's game. It's not like mystery saying, oh yeah, you got to go for one thread and then you go to the next thread. And then if this thread doesn't work, you go to this thread. Then you go. That's pure autism. You can thread it with just one of them. If you're good enough to keep her on the line, that takes skill and practice. This is not spam approaching, and Julien's game is shit. So the problem with the Julien's game is once they do all this self-amusement and challenging the way they ask the questions, are you from Vancouver? And back to self-amusement, is that they stop the conversation in 2 minutes. This process takes 2 minutes and they number farm. They collect as many numbers and they all flake, especially when you're not 5'11", strong with genetic advantages. There is nothing advanced about this style at all. Nothing. This does not lead to instant dates because they can't open her up. She needs to open up before she goes on an instant date. And you cannot pull her easily back home without genetic advantages because you can't get her opening up. All you can do is self-amuse, acting like an autistic fuck throughout the date. So that's why they depend on day 2s and day 3s and day 4s to close. You go through 2 dates, but not all Asians who are short can even get that date. So therefore, this style has destroyed most of Asian men. My plan was to start educating people what social skills and social calibrations is. They need to focus on the fundamentals, substance over style, which is Elite 30 from hard case to hero. After that, I try to educate people that if something is simple looking, they dismiss it. Because the guy on the email says, your system looks too simple. That's why I'd rather listen to RSD Tyler or Julien Blanc. But Julien Blanc in his derivatives had 0 late testimonials. There's a difference between simplicity and smart. You can be simple, like Krav Maga is really martial art, which is something I spent 5 years doing. It looked extremely simple, but it's extremely effective. Rather than some complicated kung fu or some kind of traditional martial art, that's RSD. It just doesn't work. It's flashy. It looks like it works, but it doesn't work. And that's the problem. Krav Maga is simple. Kick him in the balls, punch him on the throat, gouge your eyes out. That's it. That's the Jewish military martial art. But people can dismiss it saying, oh, that's too easy. Kick him in the balls. That's not bad. You got to do these fancy takedowns. You got to do these arm bars. You got to do all these throws. Not necessarily. After that, there's still a problem. Asian men did not get it. Because even to this very day, Asian men on my blog, they're still looking up RSD Julien. And they're gaslighted by multiple coaches saying that's advanced. They have no awareness how bad their body language is. They never seen themselves by recording themselves. And if you're giving her a compliment, which staggers her, then now she's giving positive reactions in these number close videos, fucking positive reactions. And now these guys are squaring off facing her like this, create so much cortisol. They stick their chest out, they talk to her like this, and she's scared. But without that compliment, this would not have worked. You see how this style has destroyed Vancouver. You should have faced 45 degrees. This is not your phone. It's just a fan. It's like a Chinese fan. Because lots of Chinese are fans of the wrong system, Julien Blanc system, RSD system. But if you face 45 degrees, there's no pressure anymore. And you don't have to go direct and get positive reactions, because when you go direct, it's like a person who may not want to buy this fan and you try to sell it to them. Hey, you want to buy this fan? It's really amazing. And the person's like, oh yeah, sure, absolutely. That's great. So you look at all these positive reactions from women all this time. You look at the positive reactions and you're like, oh, that guy is good. He got a number close. He got a number close because it's a positive. She doesn't want this. She doesn't want to buy this. You're trying to sell her, but instead of this, you're trying to sell yourself. And she gives positive reactions. IOIs is what mysteries, not indicators of compliance. So as soon as you get the phone number, it's kind of like, oh yeah, just give me the phone email and I'll send you the money and then I'll buy it. And they flake on you. It's the same thing with RSD Julien's 2-minute game. It doesn't work. That's the problem, because the women be full of cortisol when you face her directly. People were still RSD victims who are skillless. And 1% of the RSD victims got results spam approaching. Get Elite 30 from Hardkeys to Hero. The best program in existence. It's so good that it is like the Krav Maga of day game. It is simple, but effective. Do not dismiss it. Krav Maga takes 3 weeks to learn. You have to drill it down because it takes 21 days to get this into your nervous system. Just like the military. In Israeli army, it takes 7 days, 21 days to drill it down. 3 weeks. Then they have to go off to war. They fight every day in Krav Maga for 3 weeks. But after that, some people get a positive reactions, and I think it worked, but it didn't get any results. Positive reactions is something people give when they're not sold on something, but they don't want to hurt your feelings. They're just as bad as Julien Blanc. But here's just the thing with Julien Blanc's game. When you get positive reactions and you see these number close videos and you look like the women's into them, they're good looking people are teaching this shit. They're good looking people. They're tall, they're handsome, they're strong, and they are the women's type. They're better looking than the women. And every woman that is uglier than them, they'll censor their face completely. Every woman that looks good, they'll uncensor it. But nothing happened all that time. RSD victims outnumber a lot of people. If we were looking at it, it's only 1% of RSD victims that gets results. I guess you guys are so gaslighted. Gaslighting means when a person, a sociopath, gives you half-truth pill and you accept it, you swallow the pill, and how they get you is that Julien Blanc kind of eyes, the psycho eyes. They mesmerize you. Once they have that sociopath death stare like Charles Manson, and they tell you all this stuff, and they have some infields or whatever, no lay testimonials, then they get you and you accept their neural pathways. I'm telling you guys the truth here. I've seen here teaching for so many years, since 2012, I've seen Julien Blanc's game fail all the Asians. Vancouver is a big graveyard. Vancouver is not easy. And right now, RSD victims are dropping like flies. I'll say this again. RSD victims are dropping like flies. I'm finding out from my other students that are friends with RSD victims right now, the Asian guys, most of them have quit because of this RSD shit. But there's a new group of Asians who haven't heard of me, who are still gaslighted, who are still in this big graveyard. They got their hooks into them, and they think RSD Tyler is a nice person, and they think RSD Julien is advanced. Advanced my ass, no fucking lay testimonials. So I ended up so frustrated that I decided to demonstrate to the world how this Julien Blanc game sounds like for the structure. I get why you're depressed because of RSD. I choose to call it Julien Blanc has the worst day game system in the world, which ruined Asian men's lives. I thought if I can create something that would make it possible to raise Asian day gamers' self-esteem, to lower their ego, their delusions, then I'll be very happy. After so many years, I figured out the solution. I created that Julien Blanc has the worst day game system in the world video that I'm doing right now that ruined Asian men's lives. I got so many Asian men's laid. Then I started to let other Asian day gamers know that RSD victims uses Julien Blanc, the worst day game system in the world, ruins Asian men's lives. So I achieved the following. I got hundreds of lay testimonials with Elite 30 from Hard Case to Hero. After creating this Julien Blanc has the worst day game in the world video, which ruined Asian men's lives, I was able to get more Asian men to stop using RSD shit. But I've been able to stop some Asian men from using this autistic style of Julien Blanc's game before. But now I can teach more Asian men that this to use social skills paired with social calibrations. And at the end, now you're going to be educated. A lot of people are blinded by RSD. It is time to take the fight to RSD. Okay? This is what it sounds like. You know, I came by to say hi because I thought you were cute. And she's like laughing. So, what's your name? Let's write to question number 1 or 1 of the questions, 5 questions. What's your name? That's challenging. And she's like, my name is Sarah. Hey, Sarah. I used to know a Sarah. She was so good at sucking dick and snorting coke. So that's like a self-amusement vibe. And then I was asked another question. How old are you? I'm actually 20 years old. And is that self-amuse again? Yeah, I'm older than 20 years old. Do you know how old am I? I don't know. Guess. I don't know, 25? Damn, you're like psychic or something. That's what I like. I love girls who are psychic. I bet you can think what I'm thinking about in my mind right now. It's something sexual. And then I'll be like, where do you live? Oh, I live in Vancouver area. Nice. I also live in Vancouver too. I live a few blocks away from here. Good logistics. So, what do you do for fun? And then she's like, I do this and that. Let's stand over here. Commanding. You see that? It's just these 3 vibes. Does that sound autistic? All right, I gotta get going. Because, you know, here's an Asian guy talking to a white girl and the white girl talking to the Asian guy. I bet you never had this happen before. It'll never happen again. See, I can generate all these autistic conversations. How about this? What's your number? Would you like a coffee sometime? Sure. What's your number? Here, how about you put in my phone? I'm going to send you a witty text so that you know it's me. In another self-amusement. This is like so random. Usually I don't do this. See, you see that? That's just one of them. That's a number closed video in 2 minutes. And you're already gaslighted. I can generate a million conversations with Julien Blanc's autistic template. It's so autistic, it doesn't work. So another one would be like, hey, I just came by to say hi because I thought you were attractive. And she's like, tee by the way, my name is whatever. What's yours? What's your name? So it's challenging vibe. What's your name? And she's like, my name is, I don't know, Vanessa. Oh, Vanessa. I used to know a girl called Vanessa. She was always drunk all the time. Oh, are you drunk right now? So you're going to self-amuse. And you believe that's a good game. And she's like, no, I'm not drunk right now, tee. And the guy's good looking and tall, but that would not work for a short autistic Asian guy with bad fashion because they say looks don't matter. The coach is very conveniently says looks don't matter because RSD says looks doesn't matter. And then he'll ask another stupid question. Where are you from? And she'll be like, oh, I'm actually from Burnaby. Burnaby, nice. And they'll say, Burnaby, is that where Metrotown is? I used to pick up girls there all the time and they kicked me out of the mall. So, what's your ethnicity? Oh, I'm Polish and Irish. Oh, nice. Polish and Irish. That's an interesting mix. Another fucking self-amusement. Polish and Irish. I thought they don't mix, like mixing alcohol or something. Irish beer or something like that. Are you drunk right now? It's like, I said I'm not drunk. And then they'll ask another stupid question. What do you do for fun? Because the question, if you want to get her opening up, a generic question like this can never get her opening up. That's what Julien Blanc does not understand. Because the questions are so generic, they cannot get a longer response. They can get a short response, and the Asians who have no social skills cannot get a good response. My game is superior. So the whole idea is you don't need mysteries, goddamn fucking threading. I can literally thread with one thread, and in between I can tease and flirt when necessary. Whenever she's giving me trouble, there's no teasing in his game. The only teasing Julien Blanc has in his game is grabbing women by the throat, shoving their head down to his dick, and saying, Pikachu, Psycho Blanc, shittiest game in the world. He got in trouble with the news. And the same type of people that taught his fucking game, derivative to Asian men, they also got in trouble with the Vancouver News or Canadian News. Go figure. Completely psycho. This type of game So therefore, my game is superior in social skill. Of course, it's really hard to do what I do. And just because you know what I do doesn't mean you can replicate it. I can do this flow drill all day, but they can only self-amuse for 2 minutes because they're autistic. Generic questions are bad. And this is what happens with most Asians. They ask a generic question, what do you do for fun? I do yoga. And they're stuck. And they're like, I can't self-amuse right now. And then they'll be like, how long have you been doing yoga for? And she's like, 3 years. Because they're autistic. So why you do yoga for? And she says, I have a boyfriend. I got to get going. And then they persist exactly the same way as these dating coaches who uses Julien Blanc's game. Never take no for an answer. Persist because they tell you that she may not have a boyfriend. So you got to persist. So what happens is they get into the news in Vancouver. And I can put up the news on the fucking, whenever an autistic PUA does shit like this, they get in trouble. They get in trouble with the fucking news. I can show you the articles. I just don't have the time for it. Even if RSD is turning into a more of a marketing company now, teaching people skills in marketing or sales or vocal, whatever bullshit, they still have their hooks in them. The damage has been done. RSD victims, only 1% of them gets results with higher SMB. And they're still stuck with the concepts of spam approaching. If you learn what I'm teaching you here, not doing this shit, there is no such thing as a numbers game. There's no such thing. Complete bullshit. So completely nonsense. RSD has turned into a self-help junkie company. There are 6 human needs, according to Tony Robbins. The first human need is the need for certainty. We have to be certain to know what happens tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. The second thing we need is uncertainty. We need variety in our lives. Number 3, we need significance. We need to feel good about ourselves. We need to have some ego. We need to have some narcissism. Number 4, they need a connection. Number 5, they need a growth. This is where self-development comes in. You get it? Right? Number 5, self-development equals growth. Number 6, contribution. RSD has not contributed anything to society, but they're part of RSD Nation and they listen to all this shit. They have their certainty, uncertainty, they have their significance, they have the connection, and they have the growth. They have 5 human needs being met by being RSD cult victim. 5 human needs when they didn't have this in real life, a brotherhood. That's why they're stuck of self-development. And the people with RSD, the internal people, told me, John, you're 100% right. As soon as self-development happened years ago, everyone turned into zombies. That's what they told me. They know all about RSD. They told me everything about RSD. They make 1.5 million per every hot seat in Vancouver. They get 50% refund rate. And that's fucked up. And they block the people's IP addresses if they resist the cult. I know everything about internally. Most of them have girlfriends in RSD. But when they code approach, they get rejected. You just film advice videos. That's RSD in a nutshell. I know their payrolls. I know everything about RSD. It's about the fundamentals, the substance. That needs to be corrected first. Elite 30 is a perfect way to one skill at a time. Takes 21 days to get the neural pathway down. So what I mean by that is you can't learn all in one day. You got to do the 30-day challenge. Then you can correct the body language enough to evade detection. In her body language, you might be able to slip by that you don't look autistic. So that's how you do it. You guys can look up videos on neural pathways if you want. And there's some videos on YouTube. They explain how it takes time to get a skill down, like learning basketball. The first time you shoot it, it's like a forest. You're clearing a line in the forest, pushing the trees aside. The more you do it, the more baskets you score, the more the trees move to the side. And eventually, when you get really good at it, you can score more baskets with the skills over time. Then you can build like a road. And when you're automatic, you're natural. Then you got 2 roads. It's just easier. That's a neural pathway. You have to build a pathway in your brain. That's why Elite 30 is a 30-day challenge. Just like Krav Maga for the Israeli military. It takes 3 weeks of learning Krav Maga before they can still fight. It's a simple style. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it's not effective. It's just like the other guy on the email. That guy says, oh, I like RSD Julien, RSD Tyler stuff. You can learn from the inner game. Complicating things does not make it better. Seriously, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. RSD Tyler, who's complicated as shit in Charisma King. RSD Todd has 2 late testimonials. Julien has 0. All Julien's derivatives have 0. Max has 0. You see what I mean? They have 0 late testimonials and they again try to be complicated. It's autistic. It's stupid. 5 minutes left. I'll answer whatever questions. After this, fuck yeah. See you next video.
If you like this video, please subscribe so you won't miss new videos as I will post them constantly. Like the video for the YouTube algorithms. Go watch another video podcast now.